Hi, my name is Gerhard Gschwandtner and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today it's my pleasure to introduce Michelle Vazana. She's the founder and CEO of Vantage Point Group, and she just wrote a new book called Crushing Quota. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Gerhard. Happy to be here.
This is not your first book. What made you decide to write a second book?
So, good question. The first book it really resonated strongly with our audience, which is sales managers and sales leaders, and it gave them very specific guidance on how to better use metrics to manage your sales force. But it wasn't a coaching book. It was really just a book about management, setting direction, creating clarity of task for your sales force. And when people read it, they would say, "We love the book. Now, how do we do this?" And so Crushing Quota is absolutely a book about how to execute against the idea of putting in standards around metrics, connecting activities and results, and then coaching to those activities in a way that drives more reps to quota. So it's the how-to book.
What do you think stands in the way? What is the number one obstacle that sales managers are facing, whether it's self-created or externally created, that they need to overcome, they need to be aware of and focus on?
It's interesting that you use the word focus, because that's really the challenge, is focus. Small changes in what your salespeople focus on have outsized impacts on their ability to hit quota. And that's also true for sales managers. So the first thing sales managers need to do is ensure that their sellers are focused on executing the right things in the right way. Not everything, but the few activities, sales activities, that are most strongly correlated to success in the role they're in, the kind of assignment they're in, the kinds of solutions they sell. So the first critical task really is create some clarity for your salespeople. Help them understand what they need to be doing in order to hit quota. And it's surprising how little of that really happens, right? We give salespeople a quota and we say, "Go get them, Tiger." And then we give them some KPIs and we say, "Look, we want to sell this product, we want to target these types of customers," but we don't necessarily tell them how to do that. We usually stop at the KPI level or the sales objective level.
Michelle, do you think that there's sometimes a little bit of a miscommunication, or that sales managers expect too much of a salesperson, that they think they can do it on their own?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I talk about that in Crushing Quota. I talk about this sort of effect called the curse of knowledge. And what happens once we know something is it's hard to remember what it was like not to know that, right? So if we've been promoted to sales management, chances are very good that we were very effective sellers. We were very successful sellers. We know how to sell. We know how to sell against thorny competitors. We know how to plan and conduct excellent sales calls. We know how to strategize. We know how to do all of those things. And we forget that our salespeople don't know what we know. And so we bring this perspective to lots of our interactions with our sellers that assumes too much. And the assumption is that your sellers have a very similar frame of reference to what you have, which is almost never the case. And when we talk about coaching, we talk about helping your sellers achieve their performance outcomes, right? You want to get them to execute high impact activities consistently well. Coaching is the best way to do that.
What are the most important knowledge gaps to look at, and what comes to my mind as a skills gap maybe, or there's a technology gap that salespeople are not using the technology the way it's intended, or there's a process gap that salespeople should know what the process is, but they don't follow that process. Are those the most important areas of coaching?
When most managers are trained on how to coach, they're given a competency model, they're taught the GROW model, they're taught some other things, and they're given direction: go improve seller capability, coach to skills. And skills coaching, pure skills coaching, was the least effective of the three types of coaching that I studied. I studied capabilities or skills coaching, activity coaching, and outcome coaching or results coaching. When I think about coaching, I don't think about a bunch of nebulous definitions. I think about coaching in very specific ways to very specific activities that your salespeople have to execute in order to hit quota.
And what would be a typical scenario where a sales manager looks at what activities exactly? Is it the number of calls, or is it the number of proposals? Or
yeah. So the activities are all dependent on the nature of the role. It all depends. And which is why in crushing quota, we get very specific about how do you make that causal link? And then how do you set standards around those activities to make sure that sellers understand what good looks like and what the manager's expectations are.
That's real good insight. Thank you, Michelle. How can people learn more about your work? And do you do workshops?
The best way to learn about what we do is to look at our website. It's vantagepointperformance.com, or by either Crushing Quota, Cracking the Sales Management Code, or both. But yes, we do workshops. And we don't just do workshops though, Gerhard. We typically do more comprehensive engagements with clients. We start with some sort of a diagnostic to find out kind of the lay of the land, whether that's from a management perspective or a salesperson or an entire sales force perspective. And then we typically design very targeted engagements with our clients once we've identified the gaps they need to close. We started in the sales management arena, and now we're moving now fully into addressing the entire sales force.